a walk-off grand slam to win game 1 of the World Series. An incredible moment, one that we may remember for the rest of our lives as Dodger fans. My name's Ryan Bershinger. She is Monse Bolaños. Now, before we get into game 1 of the World Series, I do want to start off the top by mentioning that we have not recorded since the passing of Fernando Valenzuela. The Dodgers did an incredible tribute to Fernando prior to the game. For the first pitch, they left the ball on the mound for him. His 1981 season is maybe the most incredible rookie season anyone has ever had. And Fernando was not just an incredible pitcher. He was an icon of the Dodgers. So iconic, in fact, that our intro includes the highlight of his no-hitter. If you have a sombrero, throw it to the sky. Now, next season, hopefully we'll have a different intro, because hopefully we don't have Joe Buck calling the final out of the 2020 World Series. Hopefully we have Joe Davis calling the final out of the 2024 World Series, or maybe even the highlight that happened tonight. But one thing that won't change in our intro is Vin Scully saying, if you have a sombrero, throw it to the sky. This is the Sick Podcast, the Dodger Zone. Let's get into it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. The Dodger Zone.
That's strike 3. Dodgers have won it all in 2020.
Fernando Valenzuela has pitched a no-hitter at 10:17 in the evening of June the 29th, 1990. If you have a sombrero, throw it to the sky.
The sickest LA Dodgers podcast. It's gonna be sick.
I mean, Monse, what an incredible evening. What an amazing game. I wanted to make sure that right off the top we did mention Fernando, because his life is so important to Dodger fans, all generations of Dodger fans, an entire culture, and an entire fan base, and an entire city, an entire community. What Fernando means to this fan base is really, it's hard to fully put it into words.
It really is. And as somebody who, I am Latina, but I'm not Mexican, and I wasn't here when he came and kind of really changed everything for the Dodgers and for LA and for the Latin community, because it's really hard to put into words, like you said, because like he wasn't just a great athlete, he genuinely affected people. His passing, I like texted a few people that I knew were genuinely just hurt, sad over somebody that like they maybe didn't know personally, but somebody that meant so much to them. He wasn't just this great crazy athlete that came in 1981. He was so much more than that. And like it hit. It was a death that like affected you, even if you weren't that close to it. It hurt. It took a hit. It took a hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, he was somebody who meant so much to the Dodger community, not only as a player, but in his post-career as well. Yeah. Of course, being in the broadcast booth for the Spanish language broadcast alongside Jaime Jarrín for years, meaning so much to this community and this entire fan base. And thank God the Dodgers did him right by breaking their own set of rules and saying, you know what, you don't need to be in the Hall of Fame. We're going to retire your number because of what you mean for this team. And quite frankly, he should be in the Hall of Fame. Because not only is his performance on the field, again, his rookie season, Fernando Mania, is legendary. It is a truly iconic season in the entire history of Major League Baseball. Yeah. But what he also means as a cultural figure for Los Angeles and for this franchise and for the history of this team, he deserves to be in the Hall. And I think one day they might, in fact, do right by him.
And, you know, what's unfortunate is that, like, you or people tend to remember more of how his career ended, and it didn't end on the highest of notes. So, like, that's what people remember, when in reality, he should be in the Hall of Fame for what he did at the beginning of his career. And I do think you're right. I think he will eventually make it, but it's just, there's so many great athletes, but you do think about the end. You know, how did it end for him? And it didn't end that great. And so I feel like that's kind of like what didn't help his cause at the beginning to get into the Hall of Fame. But I'm with you. He should be there. What he did, no one has done it. Probably nobody is ever going to do it again. It's very difficult what he did. And so adding to what you said, I've been working for the Dodgers for over a decade. And like before he was even helping with the Spanish broadcasts, he would go to Dodger events. Like you see the Dodger alums that return for like events for the fans. And he was always there. I was, with a smile on his face. So he's definitely going to leave a hole in the stadium because he was still there. He was active. He was an active member still of the Dodgers.
Yeah. And I think one thing that hopefully his family and everybody close to him can hold dear is that his number was on the mound tonight when Freddie Freeman hit a walk-off grand slam in Game 1 of the World Series. The first time the two teams have faced each other since his iconic rookie season. Let's get into the game because, again, Fernando, thank you so much, and God rest his soul, and prayers to his family and his friends. This game was just bonkers because, and quite frankly, I can't help but feel like if you are a Yankees fan tonight, like you've got to be miserable because this was a game that we've been on the other side of many times as Dodger fans where the dumbest little things didn't go in our favor. And then it ended up, even when we do in fact get the lead, you then have this wild moment to end it. Let's just dive right into that last inning there because I'm still buzzing. That the walk-off was incredible, and so now the rest of the game is hazy to me.
You're right.
God.
One pitch changed everything because up until that grand slam, and I mean, obviously, like you said, we're Dodger fans, so we're super stoked. That game to me had everything you could want. There were high defensive plays on both sides. There were great moments at the bat, bad moments, whether it was because, Garrett Cole was kicking ass and taking names or Jack Flaherty was kicking ass and taking names. It literally was going back and forth, everything you could want. The Yankees were used to this type of competition in the postseason. They didn't blow anyone out. They weren't getting blown out. Most of their games were tight. They had to fight for a lot of them. With the Dodgers, like with the Mets, what we just saw, it was all lopsided wins. Like it was either they were completely out of it or they were totally in it and they won it in the third inning. So this was like the first time the Dodgers kind of had to fight every inning up until literally the very end. And they prevailed. You say that you have to be mad or like disappointed or angry if you're a Yankees fan. Yeah, but I feel like it was one pitch. It was one decision in the 10th inning. Like they were there. Honestly, when we went into extra innings, I was like, I don't know who's going to win. I have no idea at this point because I'm sure plan A, B, and C have gone out the window for both teams, not thinking they were going to go to the 10th inning. So I didn't know. And the Dodgers found a way to get Game 1.
Yes. Yeah. Which is huge. It's gigantic because in the grand scheme of things, if you go back to the beginning of the game, they won the Garrett Cole game to start things off. That's huge. And that really sets the tone for this team for the rest of the series. And which is something I was thinking about at the end of the game when they were scratching and clawing, but they weren't able to fully get over the hump. They eventually tied the game there in the 8th. And after the top of the 10th, I was very pessimistic as to how that bottom of the 10th was going to go. But I was also thinking about the fact, like, all right, as well as Jack Flaherty did pitch tonight, this was Garrett Cole versus Jack Flaherty, and that should lean towards the Yankees.
Yeah.
So it did not in the end. The Dodgers were able to pull that out, and that is huge. And that really, really sets them up in a great position for the remainder of the series. Yes, I understand it's Game 1 at home. Ideally, the Dodgers should win both of their home games and really set the tone for the rest of the series. But still, you're facing Garrett Cole, who is, of course, didn't have quite the Garrett Cole season that we've seen from him in the past. Of course, an abbreviated season for him. Still had to recover from injuries and everything, but he did have very strong stuff tonight.
Yes, he did.
He was getting a lot of swing and miss stuff on his elevated fastball, and when he's doing that, he's at the top of his game. The offense was struggling to get things going against him, even though the offense as a whole actually was making very hard contact consistently through the game. A lot of flyouts to the warning track, Mookie had a line drive that was directly at Jazz Chisholm with a runner on third. That was frustrating. We had those different moments, but the Dodgers did also then catch a couple breaks where Gleyber Torres boots a ball that's thrown directly to him, and Ohtani's able to take third, and Mookie's able to capitalize on that. We have a man who's never going to be able to step foot at Dodger Stadium ever again reach over the fence and catch a ball, which in the grand scheme of things hurt the Yankees.
Unreal. Honestly, like that, there was moments, okay, like one pitch for the grand slam, never had a grand slam in a World Series. That interference which was so bad. Yeah. Oh my gosh. that dude was packing up. He was like, we are leaving because we're about to get murdered by somebody, whether it's Dodger fans or Yankee fans, because I do think it benefited the Yankees the most. Because, the Dodgers could have made a play on it. Maybe could have caught it. Maybe the ball does go out. It was really close to being a home run. But the point is the pressure was on the Dodgers to make the play. So that's why I think it benefited the Yankees, because it stopped momentum. They got on second base. You know what I mean? That's why I think it benefited them, because it was the pressure was on the Dodgers at that point, live ball to make a play. And then also Kike Hernandez's bunt was chef's kiss. Did you see that bunt? It was like, right? Yeah. Like it didn't even move. And just, you don't get to see that. Just, honestly, what a great game. I know we're happy because the Dodgers won it, but it was a really good game just for baseball. Yeah. No, absolutely. I think let's look at that bunt specifically, because as you said, there are incredible moments throughout the game. That was also followed up by the worst at bat I think anybody's had this postseason. And that inning was so weird because they go to Clay Holmes, who has struggled for months now. And he did not look good the second he got into the game. In fact, Max Muncy, like he threw two balls and then threw it at his feet and hit him. Like he was all over the place. So that's what made it a weird situation then to call for the bunt. I thought Smoltz made a good point in saying that he should show bunt and pull it back because Clay Holmes is already struggling as it is. The thing that's going to make him freak out even more is now watching the batter show bunt as he's in his motion. So, but Kike put down a great bunt, and then Will Smith swings at the first pitch and pops it up against a pitcher who couldn't find the strike zone. And in a situation where it's like, how are you not patient? How are you not patient right there? That's all. It was just like, how was that not the instructions going out there? Be patient. Right. Relax. Yeah, exactly. Ultimately, they probably shouldn't have had the bunt on as it was anyway with Kike. But he got it down and he did it effectively. And they just really only needed one run there. All Will Smith has to do is elevate it and get it into the outfield in some manner, which luckily Mookie was able to do later in the game, which, of course, as I mentioned, benefited from Gleyber Torres booting the ball that's thrown to him, and then Anthony Rizzo still just kind of hanging out at first base. And good job on Ohtani to be heads up there. And even though he was celebrating, he stopped his celebration, booked it to third, and got there effectively. So, but let's look at the 10th inning, because again, the top of the 10th, apparently Blake Trinan just doesn't pay attention to runners on base, I guess, which in most situations, I don't think it's that bad. When Trinan's super sharp, he can just focus in on the hitter. But Trinan actually didn't have his best stuff tonight. No, he didn't.
He kind of hung a couple there and got away with some. His breaking stuff seemed to be moving slower than it normally does. I don't know. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just, like, using the eye test, it felt like his breaking stuff was more hittable in that inning. But he did get out of it. They got the run in. And then now you've set up a situation where in the bottom of the 10th, I keep wanting to call him Kirk Cousins. I know that's not his name. The reliever for the Yankees, they moved. They would Jeremy Cousins. I don't remember.
I think that's right. Yeah, before Nasty Nestor.
Yes. Yeah.
Before Nasty Nestor. Yeah.
And this is where I think the Dodgers especially do have an advantage on the Yankees with their bullpen. Is the Yankees bullpen is very top heavy. You know, Luke Weaver has been excellent for a few months now, but they go to Clay Holmes as their second guy, or, you know, kind of their primary setup man. And in the past, he's been good, but he fell out of the closer role halfway through the season and has been in and out of these leverage situations. Yeah, he really has struggled. And then beyond that, yeah, they went to Nestor Cortez, who hasn't pitched in a month.
And it's Jake Cousins that you're talking about that went right before Nasty Nestor. Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a choice to go out there. But, you know, like, again, it's hindsight is 2020, right? Because he got Ohtani out on one pitch.
Yeah.
And then the next, literally 2 pitches. That's all it was. One pitch changed the game, which is like so crazy. But he did his job. He got Ohtani out, and then you load up the bases, and it's like, I bet you I was not thinking a grand slam in that moment. Were you thinking a grand slam in that moment?
No, because that's the crazy thing is with Freddie's ankle injury, the power disappeared. He hasn't had power at all this postseason. And yeah, he legged out that triple, which he looked slow and fast at the same time.
At the same time, stop.
Pretty impressive.
He did. That's a good description. And I texted you, I was like, that looked like it hurt, like, but he wanted it. He wanted it. It just, I was like, that was a little bit of a struggle there, more than I would have liked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when Rosenthal talked to Dave in the next inning, he was like, what'd you think about, you know, Freddie stretching that triple? And he's like, well, I'll take the 90 feet,
ankle.
But would have been fine if he was standing at second. That's okay. I think we were all kind of holding our breath there, watching him chug to third and being like, all right. And then he slid in a way too, where his legs kind of caught the bag, and I'm like, oh no, this isn't good.
Yeah.
But apparently he's fine. So, wow.
I don't blame him. Like, when you know what I mean? Like, you can't turn off your competitiveness. Mm-hmm. You can't, even if you're in pain. Yeah. Like, it's so I don't blame him. Like, yeah, you want him to stop at second, but like, if you're a competitor and you're playing, he's gonna go for it. And like, obviously, we hope that he wakes up tomorrow and, you know, he's not too sore from all of the excitement of today. Yeah. That's the best thing. But like, yeah, he was awesome. Also, shout out to Tommy Edman defensively. Yeah. Honestly, there were so many great defensive plays from both teams that were just so exciting. Like, it was such an exciting game for it being so low scoring. You know, like, I think everybody thought, well, maybe not, because it was Garrett Cole. And I know Jack Flaherty had a little bit of a rough outing the last time on a short rest. He was sick, all of that. His velocity was down. I don't think we were exactly sure, but, you know, at the beginning of the game, they were like, oh, the Yankees average 5 runs a game. Dodgers this. I think there was a chance of like a high scoring game. It was low scoring the entire time, but still exciting. Tommy Edman, Alex Verdugo. That dude, when he went over, when he caught that foul ball and went over, and he was like, I'm good. I was like, no, he's not. He has a hernia. Somebody go help him. Like, there's no way he's good right now. But so good.
What's so crazy about that play, too, is and I understand that in order to make that catch, I think he kind of had to then flip. I mean, he made the catch with his feet still in play, and then he flipped over the fence. But if he didn't do that, the runners don't advance.
Right.
And maybe they pitched to Mookie instead, because they put Mookie on because first was open. I believe that, as far as I understood, that's what happened.
Because he went out, so they all moved to one base.
Yeah.
But I think he went so hard, and I think he tried to stop. But, you know, like, the height of that wall, like, I feel like for somebody who's taller, it's going to tip you over. Like me, I'm short. Right. So if I go to that wall and I hit it, I'm just going to get stuck. But when you're taller, if you hit it, you're going to kind of like tip over. And naturally, I think your body. And so, because it's not that high of a wall. But you know what? He was going hard, and I think he just, the way it hit him, it kind of just took him over. And he went over slowly, but it looked like it hit him a little bit hard. Like the initial impact, it almost seemed like he was not sure how close he was to the wall.
Right.
A little bit.
Right. I do wonder, because I think they probably still walk Mookie in that situation just because they're going lefty on lefty. They only need one out. So they just put, they would put Mookie on regardless, and then setting up that. I mean, if the Dodgers win the World Series, like, this is it becomes a top 3 moment in Dodger history, maybe like in terms of like World Series walk-offs. Because we think about, I mean, Justin Turner had that walk-off home run in the championship series. Of course, Max Muncy had the walk-off in 2018, but it was, they lost the series, so whatever.
Yeah.
This is one where, it's not fully Kirk Gibson here, but
right. Game 1. Yes, at that time,
Yeah.
the Dodgers were considered the worst team to make it to the World
Right.
Series.
Yeah.
So you're right. It's not the same because here they are, the best team, expected to be.
Yeah.
But it would kind of be cemented more than Max Muncy's for sure because we lost, like you said. Didn't Chris Taylor also have like a walk-off a couple of years ago in the playoffs, like a big game?
He had the walk-off home run in the wild card game.
In the wild card game, but it's like, again, you don't remember the details. I do agree with you that like this game, the details, you're not going to forget them.
Right.
That's how good it was.
Oh, God. I mean, this is, as I mentioned off the top, like I think the sheer excitement and the emotion that came out of the game ending that way, it's made the rest of the game kind of hazy. So forgive me if I remember. It was so good. I was so just like into honestly, I was into the defensive plays on both sides of the ball. Like it just was so exciting. Yes, Tommy Edman had a huge defensive play, and again, I can't remember the exact situation, but his diving play, it prevented a run from scoring.
It did,
and they were able to get out of that inning fine. And if that run scores, the game ends differently.
100%.
Edman did like have a weird hop that got away from him in the first inning, but after that, he brilliant defensively.
Brilliant. He also had the play where the ball, like at the end, the ball seemed to get stuck in his glove and he couldn't get it out. But no, like he played so well. He really did. I mean, for a second, you know what I forgot did happen? That Giancarlo Stanton hit a home run.
Right.
Like also that happened.
Yes. Brings a good point in terms of like what we saw from Jack Flaherty tonight. It was a return to what he was doing in game 1 against the Mets. He was missing bats like crazy. He had excellent command of the strike zone tonight. I know Bo is not the only person who had pointed this out. I saw other people mentioning it on Twitter, the idea of like maybe Jack Flaherty shouldn't have started that inning. But at that point, he's thrown 5 shutout innings. He was at 70-something pitches to start the inning. And with I get it, yes, with Soto, Judge, and Stanton coming up, maybe you want to be aggressive there, but also Jack had been so good through that point. And this is game 1 of the series. He's our most reliable starter right now in terms of getting deep into games. You're going to have to rely on this bullpen a lot. So I was fine with letting it ride with Jack in that inning. And I don't know, the home run the pitch he gave up for the home run, I didn't think was that bad. It was kind of the same. It was similar to like with Pete Alonso, where he just dug it out from beneath the strike zone and golfed it, and that was it. And that's Giancarlo Stanton. He's literally the most powerful man in the world, so I can't like fault him too much.
Yeah, and then and if anything, it was the pitch before that like was high, that kind of like reset everything for Giancarlo because didn't he have 2 foul balls right before that he couldn't like make the contact, and then the next pitch was like high, and it kind of just like reset everything. But yes, the pitch that he hit was not a bad pitch. He did have to dig it out. It is Giancarlo, but I'm with you. At that point, there was no reason. If I'm managing, Jack Flaherty at that point had not given me a reason to want to take him out.
Yeah.
It was he was doing great and he was filling it. And I get it. It's their best hitters, but he didn't give me a reason at that point to pull him. Yeah. And it's game 1. So it's like, you also want to push when you can. And again, hindsight is 20/20, because had he gone out there and given up like a home run, right? Everybody's mad that Dave Roberts didn't take him out. Or like how you said, take him out, put in a reliever. The reliever gives up a home run. Everyone's mad at Dave Roberts. It's like, you don't know. But in that moment, I would not have taken him out. I think when he was taken out was the right moment.
Yeah. I mean, it was for whatever reason a pitch too long. He threw one pitch to Jazz to start that at bat, and then he went to Banda, which was odd, but whatever. It's all moot. It's fine.
Yeah.
It was just like, I don't know why that happened, but okay.
No, I think they were just all still admiring Giancarlo Stanton's home run. I think they were all like, did y'all see that? Did you see Freddie's face? They like showed his a camera panned at his face, and he just was like looking at it like, damn, like, did that really get hit like that? And so I really do think that everyone was still in awe, and they're like, oh no, take him out, don't let him pitch.
He hit it 117 miles an hour straight up, which is insane. It was so high. To get that sort of exit velocity with that kind of angle is ridiculous. Like, it's I miss when Giancarlo Stanton was bad for a little bit. Can we go back to that? Now I'm terrified of him all over again. I don't like this.
Unreal that like he's the one that's doing ridiculously well, and Juan Soto also, but Giancarlo Stanton, and then Aaron Judge is in a slump, like in the slump, and you still have to be worried about him though, because that slump at any time can disappear at any given time, and so I also think that is a little bit hard to managing him, like the Dodgers side. Like, how do we pitch to him? Do we walk him? Do we think he's going to continue to slump? That's hard. Moving forward, that's going to be tough decisions. Yeah, for sure. I credit to Jack. He struck him out all 3 times tonight, which is awesome. I thought Flaherty pitched incredibly well, and it was I thought great work from the bullpen across the board. It was great to see both Gratterall and Vesia looking sharp. Especially Gratterall, because he's still, I don't know if he's still gotten to double-digit innings this season, but he looked good. He hit 100. I mean, granted, it was like a foot off the plate, but with this umpire, quite frankly, who knows? I'm not sure where the strike zone was. But the whole game, the entire game, from Flaherty's first pitch, I think that was called a strike. I was like, okay, we're gonna be giving the strike zone a much bigger frame today. It looks like, all game. I was like, oh, that's a strike. That's not a strike, sir. I don't know what you're watching, but at least I did feel that it was even for both teams. Like,
I think so.
It felt that way. It felt like the calls were even though the calls were ridiculous.
Right. I think Yankees fans probably feel like it was worse for them, because I think they were more negative for them later on in the game. But early in the game, it was pretty all over the place. Like that first inning alone. Yeah, Flaherty had, I think it was to Judge, or it might have been to, in that first inning, he threw a slider that was beautiful and very clearly a strike. And it was like his third pitch. It probably was to Torres. And I remember watching that and being like, all right, this is how this is going to go tonight, I guess. And then from then on out, but also at the same time, later in that inning, then he started calling pitches off the plate for strike. And then I'm like, okay, I'm not sure where the zone is. Like, Tommy Edman, thank God he was still able to get on in the 10th inning, because his first 2 pitches were inside off the plate and outside off the plate, and they were both called for strike. And it was like, okay, what the fuck? Like, this is what this is awful. So you know what? Yeah, I'd be interested to see what the scorecard is there for the ump scorecard, because it was, I don't know, it was some sort of gelatinous form is going to be the strike zone, where it's going to be kind of like this, like all over. It's going to look like a ghost. A little bit,
yes. There's no fine lines. It was not a square.
It was an amoeba.
It
was not, I don't know what it was.
That's good. I like that.
But outside of that, I think we got good work from everybody in the bullpen. And this is a big thing, too, because we didn't realize, I guess, Evan Phillips is hurt. So he's not on the roster, which is a huge loss. Mm-hmm. But if Gratterall is able to pitch well, that really does make a big difference in terms of, like, at least putting in somebody in Phillips's place. Obviously, if we had Phillips, then that gives like 5 high leverage arms that you could use, which would be very nice. But Unfortunately, unless they, unless they sit Landon Knack down and say your arm doesn't feel good, does it, Landon? Because you're going on the injured list. Yeah. Like, oh, you got frustrated and hit a table, didn't you, Landon?
Yeah.
No, I've been fine. I haven't even pitched. No, you
No.
hit a table, Landon.
You saw it. You saw it. You just don't remember it because it hurts so much.
But I mean, if Phillips was even at like 80%, I'd imagine, then he would still be on this roster. So
yeah, for sure.
That's very disappointing. But they got the win. They got a game one win, and that is huge.
Yeah.
And overall, yeah, to have really even to pull that out in late innings in a game where Blake Trinan didn't have his best stuff. Oh, that's good. That's really good because you figure Blake will get his stuff back later on in the series.
Also, Ohtani didn't have his best stuff. He had one hit. There was a lot of good things. Like Ohtani wasn't great. We still won. Flaherty was awesome. Great. Garrett Cole was awesome. We still won. Yes. Like, so yes, good stuff. Good stuff. Good feeling moving forward into game 2.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like we stole one because this was an incredibly even game. And I think that this is how the whole series is going to be. It's very even. These are two excellent teams. But at the same time, it's very reassuring and comforting to see that the Dodgers won this game when they did have multiple things not really work out for them. They were able to be the beneficiary of a couple breaks. And that's why I'd be really, really upset if I was a Yankees fan tonight, because this was. But again, I don't want to harp that too much because that can easily the table can switch at any time. Yeah. That we can easily be on the losing end of games just like this one.
Both teams have to approach each game individually. That's really how the Dodgers have to approach it as well. It's like, you did it, that's great. Don't feel like, oh, now we got it. No. Both teams need to really take it one game at a time because they are really evenly matched. And like, it's just who's going to get the edge game 2. I don't know. Again, one pitch was the difference in game 1.
Yeah. And thank God it was. That was, oh man, down to their final out. Freddie Freeman on one leg.
One leg.
Halfway up the right field.
No angles.
Did he only have 2 hits tonight? Because I'm trying to figure out, did he also have a single somewhere? Did he finish a double shy of the cycle technically? But I think he only had 2 hits. Yeah, okay. The triple
5 at bats, 2 hits. Yeah.
That's amazing.
4 RBI. Obviously.
Just beautiful. Just beautiful. And it does set up really well where looking ahead to game 2 now. Yes, I understand we can look back at the championship series. Game 2 was the one where the Dodgers kind of just tossed that one to the Mets. But they did not have a starting pitcher available for that game. I mean, they did. It was Landon Knack, and he was bad. I feel very confident about this one because Yamamoto's going game 2. That means they have an actual starter. That means they can continue to be aggressive with the bullpen, understanding that they've got a day off the day after. We're only looking at that game 4 bullpen game. I say, if Yamamoto gives you 5 strong innings tomorrow, you can still Trinan, even without having his sharpest stuff tonight, it'd be fine to go to Trinan again tomorrow night. Sure. Kopech could throw again tomorrow night. Everybody who pitched tonight could go again tomorrow night. Yeah. I'm hoping that we don't see Dave go super conservative and try to get the other guys in who haven't pitched yet just because they don't want to give, repeated looks. If they've got a 2-3 run lead tomorrow, then continue to be aggressive with that pen.
Yeah.
I don't know if Freddie even plays tomorrow, actually. I don't know if he starts because you have Rodon going for the Yankees. They've already said that Rojas is going to start tomorrow. You figure he's just going in for Gavin Lux. But if it's very possible that Freddie wakes up tomorrow morning and is like, oh boy, it's barking at me again.
1000%.
So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Hopefully he's all good. Yeah. But it wouldn't surprise me if tomorrow is the day that Freddie doesn't play, just specifically because of Rodon on the mound.
Yeah.
But wow, I mean, how did they? Oh, goodness.
Great game one.
What
Great
an incredible
game
game.
one.
Incredible game.
Yes.
To have this series start with a game like this, just looking at this as a baseball fan and not as a Dodger fan,
Right.
Amazing. How could you not like this? Like, this is.
Yeah, I was just about to say, this is bad for the crowd that says baseball is boring. This
Yeah.
this game does not work for you. Don't use
No.
this in your argument.
No.
Because it was not. And it was a low scoring game until it wasn't. But it was a low scoring game. The whole game.
Yeah.
You know, like I like that. Call me old school, but I liked it. I liked that there were dominant pitchers that lasted so long, and it was like, yeah, our Dodgers were making contact, but they weren't getting the hits. I liked it. They had to fight. You know what I'm saying? So it was good. It was good baseball. Great win for the Dodgers, and it's crazy. It's only game one.
Seriously, it's just game one. So strap in.
Strap in.
That is now 8 down, 3 to go. The Dodgers are 3 wins away from a World Series title. So let's close it out. Let's get another win in game 2. Let's take this to New York with a 2-0 lead. This is exciting. This is exciting. This sets things up incredibly well. All right, so back at it. It might be a Bo Benson solo affair tomorrow night. We'll see.
It might be.
Both you and I have pre-existing plans. Of course, listen, the World Series, we can't plan on the Dodgers being in the World Series months in advance. Okay,
we can't. Yeah,
no. As much as we maybe should, we don't want to be that confident. Okay,
right.
And we got a life. Okay, we got things we got to attend to. I mean, you're going to be at the game.
I will be at the game. So really, who knows though? You know what I'm saying? I don't want to commit that I'm going to be like available and I'm at the game, and then for whatever reason I'm stuck and but I will be at game 2. Yes, very exciting.
That's awesome. So we're all looking forward to hearing about it, and hopefully you get to witness a win, because that would be amazing. I've been to one World Series game in my life, and the Dodgers won that one.
Nice.
It was in 2017, Game 6 of 2017.
Nice.
We don't need to talk about the following game. I went to a winning game. That's what's important.
Was at Game 7. We don't need to talk about. But I was also at Game 1, so it's
okay.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. 8 down, 3 to go, as we said.
Let's go.
Let's do this. She's Monse Bolaños. My name's Ryan Bershinger. This is the Sick Podcast, the Dodger Zone. Let's close this thing out, right? Domo arigato, everyone. Thank you very much.
Ciao.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast, the Dodger Zone, on YouTube, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.